Good morning and welcome to our Open Source Symposium. I'm James Davis. I'm the Faculty Director of the Open Source Center on campus. So we have both a research center and a OSPO, an Open Source Program Office. So I want to introduce the other people that are helping me run this OSPO. So Stephanie, who's standing right here, you're going to hear from in a moment. She's the Executive Director of the OSPO. Emily is a fellow in the OSPO, and Elena, who's somewhere, is providing also staff support for us. You'll find her in the faculty. So, who is running this event? So we have an open source program office, and our goal is championing open source activities at UC. So historically, there hasn't been a specific place where open source lives in the University of California. And so we're trying to create such a place. Many companies have OSPOs. Academic institutions are just sort of getting into this, and so this is what we're doing. Many of you have been to events that we have had about open source in the past. This is what our organization is doing. So I just want to say a little bit about why open source. If you're in this room, you probably believe in it. So, but I want to tell you why I think it matches the mission of the university fairly well. The university produces two things. We produce students and we produce research. And open source is a phenomenal fit for engaging with students, right? So it's very, it can bring many people into thinking about software engineering and computer science in a way that some other parts of computer science don't necessarily. And it's also great workforce training for the students. It gives them real hands-on experience with things that they're doing. So on the student side of our mission at the university, open source fits very well. On the research side, we tend to produce things in the university, and then we tend to write some papers that some other professors read that nobody else touches. And then it doesn't necessarily go anywhere. Open source provides a way to take things that we do in the university and get it out into the world to actually be useful to people, and fits in some ways naturally with what we do at the university. Like, we want to push things out, but we don't always know how to do that. And we're not a company. We don't ship product. We don't do this. So this is a way we can get things out to people. In terms of recent activity, so we're very lucky that in the last year, we received a large grant from the Sloan Foundation to work with other UC campuses to try to establish an OSPO network across UC campuses. And I think this is really interesting because there's been open source projects in individual universities, but there's rarely been sort of a network across universities in this way. And so this is very fledgling. We don't have this all fully worked out yet, but this is an exciting activity that we're doing this year, is trying to work and engage with other UC campuses to try to sort of leverage the things that we're all doing across each other. So for one of the next things that we've been doing recently that we want to tell you about, I want to pass this to Emily because she's most actively running the program.
Yeah, I guess this is another recent win for us. Was we got funding from the National Science Foundation to continue a program that we run sort of 2 pilot years of called Contributor Catalyst, where we partner with so far 1 HBCU, growing to many more. And we help HBCU students get their feet wet in open source, connect them with mentors and projects through a summer program. So there will be more on that later on a panel that I'm on, but just a highlight for now. We also have just a number of events coming up this year, and or different initiatives. So next week on October 10th, that's Thursday, I'm going to be co-hosting a Hacktoberfest event with our campus chapter of Girls Who Code. And this is going to be for any student on campus who wants to come and learn about open source, think about making their first contribution or contributions during the month of October as part of a really exciting global event. Steph is going to be representing us at an upcoming event called the Ideathon, and there will be more on that later today on a panel. We have a number of workshops that are starting to gel and come together throughout the year, some of which are being offered in collaboration with the UC Network OSPOs. We have the OS Slugfest in Winter Quarter, which just Steph launched last year, which was really, we had to go virtual, but it was still a really exciting event for people to come and do lightning talks about their projects on campus and beyond. We'll be hosting the UC Open event in Spring Quarter. So imagine this event, but with all of the UCs represented and coming and sharing their expertise and projects and collaboration. And then next summer, we will have the next iteration of the open source research experience, where we pair campus research mentors with contributors, new contributors all over the world, and our contributor catalyst program, the HBCU hybrid residential online program as well.
Thank you. First off, just want to do a quick land acknowledgement before we start talking about the event. Of course, we here at UCSC are gathered on the unceded land territories of the Awakas and Yuki tribe, and they comprise of descendants of indigenous people taken to Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during the Spanish colonialization. And it's today working hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from this trauma. Always good to understand where we're actually meeting today before we load into what's going on for today's session. Okay, cool. We got that. Okay. So yeah, just quickly before we start the next session, what we're working on today, what we're gonna see today. You'll note that unlike previous, those of you who've been to the symposium before, and of course, Carlos is here, who actually started this whole thing. So although he's retired now, so we got to change it up a bit but we definitely wanted to keep it in that spirit of how Carlos got it started. But this year, because of the UC, the fact that we're doing this larger UC event later in the year, we thought, let's actually maybe keep this a little bit smaller, a little bit more a UCSC specific event. And then we'll have the larger multi-day event with the other UC campuses. But for today, we decided to do a sessions with panels and on specific issues and keynotes on specific issues of what we think were to resonate for UCSC folks working on open source, as well as open source community folks, as well as industry folks. So the first two sessions this morning will be open source and AI, led by Karsten. And then open source for agri-food, which is led by Rob, who I saw just a second ago, and I'm listening now. Oh, there he is, back in back. And then we'll have lunch, and then that'll be all in here. And then the keynote from our friends at the Processing Foundation, from Code Education to Code Contribution, will be right at the beginning of the afternoon session, followed by our open source industry, which Jamie will lead, and a number of our folks are in the from different companies. We'll be talking about how they work with open source. And then another keynote, we can't do, aside from not AI, of course, we also have something on security these days. And I'm happy to have Jared, our colleague from our UC Network colleague from Berkeley, as well as Juanita Gomez, who is a graduate student here at CSC working on open source security, to talk about the XD incident and kind of lessons learned about that. And if you don't know what that is, you'll find out a lot about it in the keynote. And then we're going to wrap it all up with a discussion about what we're all doing here at UCSC, in both working on helping with innovative ideas and also how that helps open source ecosystems here. So we'll have a really good group of UCSC focused folks talking on that. And then of course, Oktoberfest, so we have to do that. Keeping that tradition alive. Quick reminders to everybody. It may be hard for people to read this. There is the Wi-Fi password is in here. It's also a little bump on, like a little label up on the board there. If you need it closer, I can walk it around for people as well. The code of conduct. When you register, you basically agree to the code of conduct, which is available via the event website. And then again, we are recording this. We do have this as remote access to all of to folks who are not able to come here in person. If you want to see if there's chat going on, or if you want to share your screen, it's all shared through Zoom. You can use the meeting ID passcode, which is here. It's also, again, if you go to the main agenda link there where it says register. Now, if you click on that, you'll actually go straight to a page that shows the link to that. So you can access it there as well. But remember, if you do that at any point, if you're in this room, you need to mute your mic and your speakers, otherwise we get feedback. I want to do a quick special thanks before I pass it over to our next our first panel, to folks who have helped us both through the year and specifically for this event. For this event, Baskin Engineering Office of Access, Belonging, and Equity, aside from helping with a lot of the legwork and a lot of the work that we've done with the Contributor Catalyst program, also for this event is helping with some accessibility needs that we had with one of our speakers, and we really appreciate that they were able to help sponsor that at ASL to interpret for a later panel that was needed. And also a big shout out to the Center for Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Development, who's actually also helping support us financially with the donation to today's event. And they will have some materials in the back later when they get here. Also, I can't forget to thank the fact that CROSS benefits from the endowment that was created by Sage Weil, and you're still benefiting from his generosity. 6 years later, 7 years later now. So I really appreciate that. But we're also supported by the work that we do, not necessarily this specific event, but the work that we're going to talk about a lot is supported through grant from the National Science Foundation, as well as our very generous grant from multiple grants from the Sloan Foundation. So thanks to them for that.